All right, today's video is a continuation, in a sense, of a topic I've long been advocating about, which is what I call the YouTube shadow economy. Now, that may sound extremely dramatic or hyperbolic, but let me explain just a little bit further. At least 6 times over the span of 4 years, I've talked about targeted efforts to compromise YouTube channels and sell them on the dark web. Actually, there's a bunch of marketplaces on the clear web as well, but those aren't the real ones. Those are like the knockoff versions. They do what they say they will, and they work, more on that later on in the video, but they're not the actual main scary ones. The main scary ones, hidden in the dark recessed corners of the internet, are what I call the YouTube shadow economy, and today, once again, but with new information to add this time, I want to talk about what that is, how it works, why it's scary, and warn creators, as well as make an attempt at forcing YouTube's hand in an effort to fix the actual problems, warn creators about the latest example of targeted and fairly clever methods this time being used to hijack their careers. Without further ado, let's dive in. The original version of this shadow economy, the first version I was made aware of at the very least, goes back to 2019 when a friend of the channel named Marco Style had his accounts compromised. This was a pretty straightforward example, but it's also the easiest to describe. Marco Style was spearphished, so it's called, by an email from a potential sponsor, obviously a fraudulent or fake sponsor that was impersonating a real brand or something like that tricked him into downloading a malicious program which copied his browser instance, including cookies, and circumvented two-factor authentication on his YouTube account, his Google account, rather. It's a bit more complicated than that, honestly, but that's the gist of it. After being compromised, his channel was stripped, rebranded, and resold on what I think, if I remember correctly right now, again, it's been a few years, was a Russian-based web forum for like $900-ish. After that, it started to launch crypto livestream scams while impersonating someone named Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, which were successful, and we can trace that because it's blockchain and we had the wallet address, which were successful to the tune of, again, if I remember correctly, like $30,000 or more. Maybe it was $36,000 at the time that I made the video, which was taken, presumably as per the broadcast running, from Marco Style's own pre-cultivated audience. That's unfortunate, but it's also not exactly isolated. That same crypto livestream scam was running on dozens of other channels simultaneously, cycling up on new carriers as the accounts were terminated and being fed into additional compromised YouTube channels daily to prey on their followers. Really not good. Well, to their credit, YouTube has done something about that particular version of the scam, largely removing it from the platform, but no, not really, because if we search for Ripple right now as I make this 4 years later iteration of the video and filter by live streams, we find things like Ripple XRP case reaching a happy end, SEC lose, Brad Garlinghouse live, streaming to thousands of viewers on a channel called SpaceX of all things. There's more just like it, such as this one from a channel called Ripple, with over 14 million subscribers, it says, or this one from a channel called Ripple again, with 1.3 million subscribers, and suffice it to say, it's not an isolated problem. These live streams have QR codes, and the site that they lead to is a relatively unindexed phishing site as of right now called x2ripple.com. As per VirusTotal, only one provider has actually flagged this particular domain. X2 at ripple.com, because it's a doubling scam. They say, send us a certain amount of crypto and we'll send you twice as much back. That's how the scam functions through FOMO. I'll address that in a second, but again, that's why it focuses on the idea of doubling your money. Now, you'll notice the video is not in fact sponsored. And that's because it's effectively sponsored by Upper Echelon itself. I'm starting to use affiliate products now instead of the more traditional in-video sponsored segments, which I guess looking at the affiliate traction might not have been worth it for me ever to do. And a couple of those affiliate partnerships are ESET and Guardio. ESET is a cybersecurity program for all your devices, and Guardio is a threat prevention Chrome extension, whereas most people use the Chrome browser and remember their own passwords in Chrome, which is a death sentence, don't do it. And both of these services flagged the URL x2ripple.com as suspicious. And I have some more content in the future about that where I'll showcase the results from a phishing link database in real time, which I hope will be informative since I conduct my own due diligence package for all sponsors and channel partners. Long story short, I know people are probably sick of hearing about that part. There are 2 links down below, 2 of the best products that we could find that protect you from not only this particular type of threat, but many more types of threats. These are services I trust, and they do cost a bit of money. It does benefit the channel if or when you buy them, but I also stand by these choices wholeheartedly, and I've been able to witness precisely what value they provide in real time. They don't protect against everything, no service ever can, but for people that want some basic hands-off help and rudimentary protection just for a fee, these programs are an excellent place to start. Anyway, if you're interested in that or a much larger list of overall products, services, and discounts that can harden your cybersecurity, there's a link tree down below in the description with a curated selection chosen by myself and a couple of expert sources who are helping me with a few of these video topics. Back on task. The sad reality is that every time YouTube clamps down on these scam rings, another one spins up. Every single time. Every time a creator is compromised, the scammers get fresh victims, hundreds of thousands, even millions of potential victims all at once, packaged all nice and perfect into a centralized hub where they can promote the scam. And if you just search for basically anything to do with crypto, Tesla, or Elon Musk, you'll find them in droves. Here's a basic search for Tesla that I just conducted just now, where multiple of the first page results are streams to thousands of live viewers with a QR code phishing link embedded right in the broadcast. This one is also relatively unindexed as well, because whenever the URLs start to get mass flagged, the scammers just pack up shop and move on. They have fresh ones waiting to spin up all the time, an army of bot traffic to direct wherever they choose and bolster credibility through crowd mentality. And the problem is actually larger now than it even was in 2019. I know that YouTube maybe tries to do something here, but obviously they need to make some adjustments because it's clearly not working. For those curious, the issue of botted traffic is only getting worse right now, especially on pretty much every social media platform, because of the previously mentioned psychological phenomenon known as crowd or herd mentality. Crowd mentality is one of the primary driving forces behind market speculation bubbles, which has been an industry standard method of targeting YouTube viewers for quite some time. It's kind of a shit show. All of these substructure scam rings, which are basically all based on each other in iterations, use crowd mentality to boost the efficacy of the crypto scheme by spiking the engagement metrics of the urgency-driven live broadcast, where you can double your money for a short period of time. A large group of people watching, so it must be real, or it would have been shut down already, is what the obedient and trusting viewers tend to think. And I don't have much time, I have to act fast and get the money, is what the gullible and kind of fear-driven viewers think, making this the perfect combination of urgency and authority factors to increase the hit rate of the scam. Again, for creators, I have an entire list of techniques and products down below that we will be evolving over time to prevent you from ever being a victim of the YouTube shadow economy. And also, if you need to think about it this way, you need to be taking precautions because you should not be risking that kind of impact on your own fans and audience. You aren't just protecting yourself here, though you are protecting yourself. You are protecting everyone that watches you. And that actually is your responsibility in this case. However you do it is fine. I'm not here to say one method is better than another, but you need to be doing it. I'm speaking to YouTubers right now. You have to take precautions to protect not only yourself, but your audience from this type of scheme. Here's the thing. I've talked about all of this before multiple times, and hopefully these kinds of videos bring attention to the issue and help the streams get taken down. Actually, I know that's true already. Going back to some of the older videos, the channels that were compromised have been either reinstated or full-on deleted, so results, they do happen. In a proverbial game of whack-a-mole, I guess. Yay. Still, a fight that seems futile can still be a fight worth chasing in some circumstances. So now we get to discuss the second half, which is the evolving techniques through which the shadow economy can compromise targeted channels. In the hierarchy of cyber threats, if you will, there are some things that you can protect against and other things that you can't protect against. Over the years, I've learned a fair bit about this type of scam, being that it's targeted me in particular multiple separate times, and as proof of that, I have browsed the dark web portals where hackers for hire offer their services. I have visited the YouTube shadow economy marketplaces, the big ones. I've even bought a couple of accounts from the clear web counterparts of the more intense or insidious vendors, and I've observed how botnet traffic is used to bolster compromised accounts on multiple different social media platforms and turn them into scam-pushing super hubs. It's fascinating stuff, it really is, but sticking to my original topic here, I want to focus on how they compromise, in particular, YouTube channels. There's a few different tactics, such as spearphishing a creator by impersonating a sponsor. That's a super common one and has been for years, and it's worked many times in the past. Or sending a false copyright claim email and attempting to infect the victim through a compromised download in the PDF file. But the most recent version is actually a whole lot simpler, and really, it's insidiously clever. For starters, when a scammer impersonates an email from an official source, whatever that official source might be, there are always clues. For a large YouTube channel owner, it's actually pretty easy to detect, or should be based on our prior experiences. But most recently, over 5 times in the past couple days alone, I've started to get a different type of email. Recently, I've been getting kind of spammed by these, which are private videos being shared notifications that actually do come direct from YouTube's own system. See, For scammers, it's all about piggybacking on the authority of something else to get you to trust them, and YouTube itself is a great way to prey on the false trust, or in some cases fear, that we as creators have with regards to anything about monetization or copyright. No reply at youtube.com is the actual email address being used, as they simply share a private video to my email address that they got from my videos. And like I said, it's really insidiously clever because all they have to do is put the malware in the description of the video and then share it and then delete it after a short period of time. These emails that they send out very quickly end up leading to dead-end videos or terminated channels, but the hilarious thing is that YouTube doesn't even have a proper option to report them. See, you can't report the video because after they send it out, they quickly remove the content anyway. They're looking for rapid hits, right? They send it out, they want a hit, and then they delete it. They're not really giving themselves time to be found out and deleted. And you can't exactly report the channel itself because the option doesn't exist. Here's what I mean. This is one of the channels that have been used to target me in particular multiple times. YT Update 2023, meant to impersonate the YouTube policy program. Actually, one of them so far was partner program, one of them was policy updates, etc., because they are constantly trying to refine their distribution method and mix it up and make things more effective and get more clicks. Actually, I can find these, I'm adding this in postscript, I can find these in real time just by sitting here and searching for channels with YouTube partner or policy in the name, because the focus seems to be on multi-year-old smaller channels for this one, this iteration, which are then rebranded and used to impersonate YouTube itself and distribute malware. It's happening as I script this. The YouTube shadow economy is in full swing. The thing is, when you try to report these channels, you can only do that from the About page because the refined ones don't have any videos, and when they do, they simply share briefly with the targets and then remove them. On the About page, you can report for impersonation, which is probably the technically accurate thing to report for, but that requires that you state whether it's you or someone else being impersonated, and if selecting someone else, you need to actually provide the channel URL. Well, YouTube doesn't technically have a partner program channel to use. The closest thing they do have is YouTube Creators as a channel, which I have used to report as many of these channels as I can find. But the shadow economy architects have settled on something rather clever here, where the attempted moderation at scale of YouTube's platform actually doesn't provide the proper avenue to correctly report the problem. I'm not even really upset here, to be honest. YouTube didn't exactly know that this was going to become a huge thing, but it certainly needs to be addressed, and again, to their credit, I can also see as a couple of the accounts get suspended in real time after they have been used to send a bunch of the phishing emails. I'm trying to be fair here, but the problem isn't going away, it's actively getting worse. There are still, 4 years later, a large concentration of enormous crypto livestream scams based on the impersonation of Brad Garlinghouse. Tesla and SpaceX, another one was called ARK Invest, or by Kathy Wood, have been used for the past 2 years, at least, simply rotating through a couple of keywords and never disappearing. The largest yield is, of course, from bigger channels, so the shadow economy refines its method of targeting creators like me, and as they do, the cycle continues and exacerbates and gets worse. There are some very, very big channels that have been compromised this way. Tens, probably hundreds of millions of dollars at this point over these years have been stolen from everyday viewers who get caught in the churn of the shadow economy, and yet it just keeps happening. I understand that there are problems at scale for any platform. I understand that it's difficult sometimes to moderate this on YouTube's part, but I mean, come on. I can sit here and actively report things for 8 hours a day, just cycling through keyword searches that I know contain harmful scam crypto content like this, and uncovering the accounts that they are spinning up in real time, which means YouTube, sincerely, come on guys. Can you not pay someone, one person, to sit there as a full-time job and clean out the dark corners of your platform before the scams can happen? Can we be proactive here? I could literally do it for you, full-time, successfully, and save people millions of dollars. If you paid me, of course. I'll take a tiny fraction of the value I would have saved your customers. At the very least, though, can you maybe not demonetize my stuff and force me out of the algorithm? It's kinda not very fun, and there's other bigger problems to worry about here. At the end of the day, the YouTube shadow economy, as I call it, is in full swing. It's evolving and, dare I say, growing right now, with the latest version being private videos with malware in the description being sent to creators using the framework of YouTube itself to impersonate authority. Very sneaky. As I find these things, I report them to YouTube, obviously. as we're able to get our hands on the malware samples, a couple of them, we have indexed them into databases, and I have a rudimentary hardware lab up and running right now with more progress every day, so hopefully I can continue to at least have a dampening effect on the impact that this shadow economy has on reputable creators, but it's an ongoing fight. Once again, I don't want to just talk about this stuff, I want to have a tangible impact, but I also need to pay the bills. The security product list down below is a method where I can do, hopefully, both of those things at the same time, and it's an evolving project where community feedback in particular will also be taken into account to improve the overall design and product list. Ultimately, this is a continuation of a threat I've been warning about for almost 4 consecutive years. Every few months, a massive creator gets compromised in basically an identical way by the same group of people, and all the reaction channels go, "Oh my god, new scam on YouTube has huge consequences," or "the new threat that just hit so-and-so and it's really bad." But the truth is, it's not new. Not in the slightest. It hasn't been new for a very long time. It just slowly grows and grows and grows and changes like a living organism. A parasitic organism feeding on the YouTube community like a blood bag host, but definitely not new. We should, emphasis on the word should here, be able to defeat it with the proper countermeasures, and hopefully Google will start to implement those countermeasures. I'd even be happy to help them myself, personally, because from what I see, the solution could be as simple as a paid intern, a single paid intern with some common sense, and a ban hammer. Then you feed those bans that the single common sense intern is able to find with a couple of keyword searches in 5 seconds. You feed those bans into a check and balance system, whatever you come up with, and have a more senior employee or something like that review the choices. Bingo, problem solved. That would genuinely solve the problem. Anyway, that's it. If you want support, there are links down below. Today I'll focus on channel memberships right here on YouTube as the #1 call out, where you can get a little comment badge with the logo and bronze, silver, gold, or whatever. And I prioritize your comments more to respond to when I even have time to read a batch of them. But I'll cut it there and stop rambling. Don't fall for this, YouTubers. Don't let your audience fall for just don't let anyone fall for this. There's no reason that these scammers should be making off with tens of millions of dollars of hardworking people's money. It just doesn't need to happen. As always, thank you all for watching, and have a nice night.